Misha. I'm the Digital Risk Advisor at North Road. And today we're going to look at fraud that is happening in Canada, and hopefully I can share some useful information with you. I'm sure everyone has noticed that everything we use today, from banking, how we manage our finances, how we receive health services, and how we store health data, to home and personal life, every device that we have in our homes, everything seems to connect to the internet nowadays. And it makes our life very convenient, but it also opens us to a lot of risks that most of us are not sure how to protect ourselves against. And these risks are not theoretical, they're happening every day to Canadians. And here are some stories I would like to share with you. So, cyber officials warn of a campaign to impersonate high-profile public figures. As we heard earlier in the conversation, AI seems to be getting much better into replicating people's appearances, and is becoming very scary that even I, the person who was raised with technology, sometimes I'm not able to identify what is real and what is AI. There is some signs like the skin can be a little bit shiny, 6 fingers is a good sign, some minor things like that, but sometimes these are very small details that they're very hard to spot. So it's a good reminder that we need to always verify through official sources. So in the case where Marshall brought up his son reaching out and asking for help, just pick up your phone and call your son to the number that you have saved on your phone. If somebody's spoofing your number or somebody pretending to be you, once you call your son, he will answer the phone and he will let you know that it's not him who's calling. So always verify through official sources. Second is fraud. That was there was a case of an elderly couple that mailed $30,000. Yeah, they mailed $30,000 because somebody pretended to be working at their bank and they were investigating them for fraud. So the elderly couple got afraid and they reacted very fast. They packed up their money and they sent it over the mail to the attackers. Because they reported the crime, the money was able to be recovered and brought back to their accounts. But this is a very good reminder that if you see something as not right, or you have a suspicion of that something bad happened, speak to your loved ones, speak to people around you, somebody like the presenters earlier said, somebody who is a little bit more technologically savvy. Share the news and maybe we'll be able to spot it much quicker and it's going to be easier to resolve. This one is a little bit more interesting, and I personally dealt with this 4 times this year. So IT support scams. So often we browse the web and we can have a pervasive pop-up that blocks the screen and says you have been hacked. Here's the number to reach out. Most of the time it's placed as Microsoft. Reach out to Microsoft. They will be able to help you, and once you call them, they either sign you up for very expensive services that you don't need, or they install malicious software in your devices. This is very hard to catch because the people who are affected by the scam are often feeling that they're receiving help, so there's no reason to alert loved ones. So these scams are often kind of swept under the rug, and we find out about them years and years later when people say, oh, I've paid this much money for this tool, and we can find out that this is not an official tool or it's a screen recorder on their computer. So again, if you see something happening to your devices and you feel worried, bring it to somebody you trust who has IT experience. They'll be able to help you or guide you towards the proper resource. Sometimes bringing your computer to a Best Buy service desk can solve the solution. You can just bring them your computer, say, hey, this is what I'm seeing. The person behind the desk is usually experienced enough to tell you if it's something to be concerned about or this is a normal technology glitch. Here is one thing that we need to acknowledge. Wealth makes you a target. So high net worth status attracts attackers. And like it was mentioned earlier in the presentation, a lot of attacks that happen nowadays, they happen with AI. So a lot of emails everyone receives, they're not typed in by a human behind the computer. This is just a bot that grabs all of the available addresses and sends emails all across the internet. So this is kind of a low-level attack where they send it to everyone and they try to catch the most vulnerable. If you become a target, they can use a little bit more sophistication, they can get a little bit more creative, they can find more information about who you are, who your loved ones are, where you work, where you live, and the attack can become much more successful. This is where we need to start taking our security much more seriously, because if we utilize basic security tools, we can often protect ourselves from low-level attacks. So if we become a target of a customized attack, it's going to be much harder to protect ourselves, because people can be calling us and pretending to be multiple people. They can pretend to be our family. They can find out that I work for Marshall, and they can spoof their email that is coming from my boss. And if I'm specifically targeted by an attack, I'm much more likely to respond quickly to Marshall than I would be to a random person. So we need to be very careful if we are in a more vulnerable, if we are high net worth, because we can be flagged on the system as a good victim. So here's something I'd like to share with everyone. Some simple things we can do to protect ourselves. As I was compiling a picture of the secure family, I realized there's too much to put on the screen. So I just put the basics and the most important things I would like to everyone to implement in their security. And the first one is password hygiene. So every account needs a unique password, and it needs to be complex. We cannot keep utilizing the same password across all accounts, because often a website gets breached, the information gets published online, and a hacker simply pulls it off online for free or buys it off someone, and they can get access to all of our accounts this way. Using a password manager, I've already done some work with some people in this room. We quickly realized that managing passwords and having all of them unique and strong is close to impossible without a system to manage them all. This is where using a password manager is very important, and also two-factor authentication. Sometimes even the most sophisticated attacks that I've studied, they were stopped by the simple two-factor authentication. It can either be text, it can be authenticator app, or it can be an email. Text and email, not as solid as a security feature, so I highly recommend, if you're comfortable with technology, learn to use authenticator apps and authenticate it locally on your device. If not, text message is better than having nothing. Next thing is smart digital behavior. So this one is very important. Family who knows how to spot phishing emails and scam calls. A lot of protection that we can use against this type of fraud is awareness, understanding how the malicious actors are doing their work, and just understanding how they're trying to take money away from us often protects us, and we don't fall in their traps. We don't share personal information over phone or text without verifying. So a quick story, last week a good friend of mine reached out to me and asked me for a password. It's an account that we share together, so I had no issue sharing that account with him, but because it's been about 3-4 months that we haven't talked, I just wanted to give him a call to verify, so I just picked up my phone call, gave him a call, and said, hey, you're asking me for this credential, is it you? He opened his video camera, he showed me his face, I got reassured, I sent him my credential. Took me about 25 seconds for the whole process, but I was certain who I was sending my information to. And mind you, this is a person that I trust, a person that I communicate very often with. So this is the same procedure we have to utilize anytime somebody asks us something confidential. Kids, family, brothers, sisters, just give them a call, shoot them a text, say, hey, I'm being asked this, is this you? Often you will receive a verification right away, and people will let you know if it's them or it's somebody else trying to pretend to be them. And they're regularly they use the VPN on public Wi-Fi. Very often I see people connecting to public Wi-Fi without fear because it's free and it's been set up by someone. This is a very big risk to all of us. A lot of networks, they're either left in unencrypted state, so everything that you send to the internet can be intercepted and read by a human, or it's the worst case scenario, it's a malicious actor who has replicated a network and he wants you to connect to their Wi-Fi. So they have set up a trap for you. So my advice, if you absolutely have to use public Wi-Fi, please use a VPN. Best advice I can give is do not trust public Wi-Fi, use your cellular data, and if you need to do something important, wait until you get home and do it at home on your device. Endpoint security. So laptops and laptops and phones need an antivirus installed. Regular software updates. Important reminder for everyone in the room, for everyone who has a Windows 10 laptop right now, it's being discontinued on October 26th. So it's no longer going to be receiving security updates. So if you have an older computer, you will need to check if it's updatable to Windows 11. If not, you need to purchase a new device or get the extended warranty, because these security updates are often very important to make sure the vulnerabilities are patched up and your device is in good health. Also, outdated devices are safely disposed. I often see people just using technology for 5-10 years, and once it breaks, they just put it in the garbage, because if the screen is not working, the understanding is computer is dead. That is not true. Most things can be recovered. Sometimes even when you delete a file, there is software that can recover it if it hasn't been fully erased. So be mindful of how you dispose of your old devices. There's professionals that take care of that. Some of those services are even free. You could just come in, drop your laptop, and they'll destroy it safely for you. And every device is secured with a strong password. This is one of the biggest things I notice when I work with people. We care often about passwords for web technologies, but we rarely pay attention to how we secure a device. Your technologies, like your apps, are very hard to break into because they're always being patched up, there's always updates. Your device, if it's open, you're kind of giving the open door towards everything that's on your computer. I often see people leaving their computers unattended or leaving their computers in the shut state, but with a PIN code of 1111. So quick reminder, the PIN codes for our devices needs to be very solid and complex. And the last one would be disaster recovery. So how do we back up our systems? This family knows where their information is stored. The cloud systems are protected with a strong password, and important files are also backed up in appropriate places. Devices are set up with Find My Device and remote wipe options. We often lose our devices, and if we do not report it stolen or if we do not block access to it, an attacker can keep trying to access our phone until they can get into our contacts, text messages, and emails. So this is a quick reminder. Most cell phones nowadays, they come with a Find My Device or Erase My Device feature. In case you lose your device, you can instantly wipe it, purchase a new one, and install everything you had on it on the new device. And the last one would be a plan of action in case of fraud. So it's important to do the due diligence to protect your families so a hack doesn't happen, but what happens if we were hacked? We need to have some numbers to call, some people we can reach out so we can get appropriate help in the times where we need it the most. And all of this can feel quite overwhelming. There's a lot of things to do. There's so many tools we can implement, and this is where we come. This is where I help our clients. We've created the digital risk advisory services, and we have split this program into 8 different compartments. Digital risk, so we will meet up with you, we'll ask you a few questions, understand where the vulnerabilities are and what can be worked on. Then we'll offer a digital risk report, so we'll tell you where the most important weaknesses in our security are, and we'll create a game plan on how to fix those. Then we'll take a look at password management, antivirus and malware, anti-phishing, so software solutions and filters, as well as ID theft and credit report, backups, disaster recovery, and firewall and VPN. We also need to make sure that our networks at home are secure and they're closed off from the attackers.